Hello everyone, and welcome to episode 38. So, as work begins on the new construction hub, we have a lot of time to kill in the meantime. We have a couple things we can deal with. First and most obvious is the lack of decorations around the new housing development in the city of Estergrad. The second possible time waster would be somewhat related, since that all the new apartments are already completely full, and we already have people lining up for more. So we could also add a bit more housing. Then there's the issues surrounding the transit issues around the place. Now, since we are going to do some construction in town today, it won't be all that pressing, since all those unemployed will just go work in the construction sites. But later, we will definitely need to deal with it. Let's take a look at the work we've done so far. As expected, the track layers are working rather well. And it seems the automatic continuation on road work stopped. I'm afraid we will have to keep coming back to this place, and add new segments as we progress. Not really a big deal, we just need to enable notifications, so we know when it's time. As for this little bug texture, I tried everything I can think of, and nothing worked. We will just need to use the rails to cover it up, and maybe plant some trees around it to hide it even more. You see? The work on the road completed, but the next segments weren't added to the queue. A bit of a shame, but as I've said, not a huge deal all things considered. As for these houses, as you can see they are completely full. The complaints are disappearing already, so we have that going for us, which is nice. We do need more childcare though. We already have two quite close to each other, so might as well turn this place into a small kindergarten neighborhood. As I've said, we need to keep expanding the housing situation in town, and thankfully, the placement of this substation is perfect for this, as it should cover the remaining areas on this end of the island. Choosing the right building was a bit harder to decide. I really wanted to go with something small, since it will be the outer edge of the city, but those tended to have lower housing quality, which I try to avoid using. I also wanted to create something a bit more interesting looking, like that T-shaped building we started out with. So we will have to go with something bigger. Yeah, these will do. At least they are not as tall as the 19-story version we have next door, so technically speaking, they are smaller. And if we do it carefully, we can place them close enough to each other to make them appear as one big building. For a second it looked like they weren't connected, so I tried again. But in hindsight, I think it was just fine. That big empty space between the two blocks will be perfect for another park area. Since we have a monument on one side of this road, for the sake of symmetry, let's build another one on the other side. As usual, we will use footpaths for citizens to get around. The road connections will be dealt with by using cosmetic textures. Ensuring that both buildings are accessible is a bit harder than expected, since they are quite close to each other. Yeah, this will do. I've been a bit concerned about the rate of food production lately. Since we already have an import job set for the fabric factory's crops requirements, I would feel better if all of the harvest first went towards making bread, and only send over excess crops to the clothing industry. Plus, the amount of money we make from selling the extra food we produce will more than cover the cost of the imported crops. So, we are basically back to the way it was before. First, the harvest will be dumped in the grain silo, and the clothing warehouse second. It is very unlikely that any of it will ever make it, since by exporting the extra food will ensure continuous production. But the import trains will deal with that. Let's check on the new hub. I feel we should see some progress by now. Yeah, this one is just about to finish. Let's wait and add the next set of roads to the queue. By enabling notifications on the longest new piece will likely result in being notified by the time all roads are done in the area. And good thing I was checking around, looking at the unfinished roads reminded me that I still needed to add this small connection, just to complete the circuit. Without it, we wouldn't be able to create a continuous circular traffic flow through the construction hub. For now, I'll just place a set of bush dividers in this field. I'm fairly sure we will need to use it for services later, but for now, let's just do this instead. You know, I think it would be best if everything we build around here is set to low priority. We need to focus on the new hub, and only commit our efforts here if we have nothing better to do. With both of the monuments done, we can start decorating. I think I will go with the gravel foundation again. Yeah, just like that. We can surround it with some bushes, and it's pretty much done. Since I would like this to be more or less symmetrical, let's do the same on this side too. Let's keep adding more jobs for our construction crew. We are almost at the point where we can start working on some of the proper buildings. Despite the distances, things are going faster than expected. Don't get me wrong, it's still quite slow, but not as slow as I thought it would be. Looking at that short piece of road, I was a bit worried that the buses might have trouble reaching those sites in time, before the workers give up on working for the day. Thankfully, my fears will turn out to be unfounded. This means that theoretically we could just use buses to ferry workers into the new hub from Estergrad, but I think I will still stick to using foreign workers, and bring them in by train. Once the traffic gets busy around there, we might not be able to rely on those buses. As for this empty space behind this apartment block, I just went with a small nature park, complete with a dirt walkway through the greenery. Since it's not really connecting any important areas, I doubt we will ever see people walking through it, but it's there in case any of our citizens turn out to be a hiking enthusiast. I tried to keep the density of trees fairly low for the sake of the residents on the lower level. And as usual, The remaining space will be filled out with bushes. Since we have quite a bit of construction going, this intersection will be a bit more busy than usual. It will come and go in waves. This just happened to be a busy moment. And look, we arrived just in time to start work on the first proper building in the new hub. It turned out to be the aggregate drop-off station. And the first helicopter construction office also managed to get into the queue. And looking at the footage, the aggregate storage was also reachable by now. Not bad. Now, to ensure that the construction crossing works as intended, we need to add 2 more signals. This time I didn't bother with using the correct types, I just went with regular block signals. We can also get rid of a couple unnecessary area tags. Well, most of them anyways. Those name tags also reminded me that we should get rid of the leftover nodes on the coastal railroad. I used waypoints to break it up into smaller segments to speed up construction, and since we only have the electrification left, I decided to go for it. And that's that for now. I'm fairly certain I missed a few, but we will see them once we start building the catenaries. And look, the gravel helipad is also in the construction queue now. Things are going rather well around here. With this third kindergarten, the local childcare issues are solved. We do still get a couple complaints about meat though. Since the freezer truck is off for a pickup, let's follow it to make sure it gets back in time. It reached the pickup point exactly when the remaining stock was at 50%. It only needs a small delay, and a couple people wouldn't be able to get meat from the shop. Not ideal. The thing is, this truck is already one of the fastest model we have access to at the moment. If I remember correctly, there is one that might be faster, so I might need to get that to replace this one, but only for this particular line. Anyways, the truck got back with the store being without meat for a tiny amount of time. That's all we need to get some complaints. Not the most ideal situation. This amphitheater turned out rather nice. A quiet little park, where people can enjoy a small play, or just hang out in the sun. How about a nice big gravel entrance to the kindergarten? I think it looks quite nice. Thanks to the building footprints, I cannot really decorate that empty space, so at first I just placed some bushes around it. But then I remembered that we have the flower beds, and those don't have collision boxes. They will be perfect for this. I tried to place it in the corner, hoping it wouldn't delete the bushes I just placed. That didn't go as planned. We can just replace them in the next episode. Whoa, we have quite a few electricity notifications. Something must be on fire. Well, Of course, it's the power station itself. Good thing we have a rapid response team on the job, so the damage will be minimal. Yeah. The biggest complaints are about culture. Nothing a bit of time won't fix. We also have this space to fill out. I decided to go for more housing, but nothing big. These small brick ones will do nicely, they have a reasonably high housing rating. I will have them face towards the river, and use some calm side streets in the back for the road connection. And I obviously have the second one mirrored, so they look a bit more symmetrical. This side street is more cosmetic than practical, so I didn't bother building a proper intersection for it. As for this front entrance, there was no road to connect up to with the textures, so I placed one of my own. I doubt there is enough space for anything big in those spaces, so I will most likely just place some bushes there. The lack of exported food in recent months is a bit of a concern. It will take some time for the new distribution to take effect, but I would be more confident in our food supply if we had enough to sell for the foreign markets. You know, at this point these big dumpers are a bit of a liability. Sure, they can carry a lot, but they are painfully slow. Good thing I looked around. I've been meaning to fix the curve on this road, so it would follow the tracks a bit more closely. But to keep the slope smooth, we need to have the excavators at the ready, and they are busy building the hub right now. I'll come back in a bit. I was wondering why the hotel is without alcohol, even though the warehouse is full of the stuff. Not allowing pickups does tend to do the trick. Now it should be fine. We even managed to reach the bus stop. I was half expecting to get to the gravel helipad at most today, so this progress is a welcome surprise. Originally I wanted to stop with the embankment here, but you know what, we can just continue with it. I might even go all the way to the bridge with it. I will most likely not build them along the northern side of the island, the slopes are too tall there, but down here, we might as well go all the way. And since we are leveling the terrain, how about we do this whole area? I'm not sure what to build here yet, might just be a park, or if we need more workers, then more housing. I guess time will tell. I don't think I will bother with the dividers here. It's close enough to the mountain that this area could be a bit more wild, I think. This little park looks kind of nice. I'm glad now that the amphitheater didn't really fit in, since it looks so much better in its new home. Might as well take care of this area too. I would still like to extend the tourist area until here. It should be in walking distance from the hotel. At this point, I became a bit impatient with the rate of deliveries. I think the biggest limiting factor in these early days are the dumpers. We are still using the earliest model, one of which can only move at 30 km per hour, and the smaller one can do 60. That second one is okay for gravel road, but the cargo capacity is also cut in half, so the end result is basically the same. For a second I didn't want to disturb them, but then I noticed that the Kamaz trucks came out to the market sometime last year. I must have missed the notification, because that is exactly what I've been waiting for. Time to replace them all. Let's go for 12 of them. At this point, we can easily afford all this. We not only increase the speed of the deliveries, but the volumes too. The rate of road building should be even faster now. Since I wanted to take a tiny break, how about we take a ride on the coal delivery train? I will even slow it down so it feels less like a theme park ride. I just love it when the rail network gets a bit more busy. Since we are riding past it, let's see how that field turned out. I'm not sure we looked at it since I decreased the height of those hills. Yeah, it's much better. The town buildings are much more visible now. Looking at the houses, the complaints are pretty much all gone. There's even one that only gripes about alcohol. Not bad. And we have alcohol in the hotel. Everything's back to normal. Whoa, almost forgot to add the station crossing for these branches. It's kind of important. And we have another traffic jam. As usual, it's all thanks to the construction buses clogging up the intersection. It will clear up in a second. You know, we don't really need people to walk into these sites right now. They are low priority, so they could be working in the out-of-town industries instead. This will very likely increase the overall unemployment, but that's life. The end of the episode was fast approaching at this point, and I really wanted to check something before I logged off. And that's the reach of the bulldozers that will use this new construction hub. Not very far, but it will do, I think. Plus, we have the well-tested free construction outposts we can use, so we are not really constrained by these kinds of ranges anymore. And looking at the one we've been using, I noticed that one of the excavators just went home. It's about time we fix these roads. Oh yeah, the curves follow the rail tracks much more nicely now. We could do something similar on this end too. We still see some complaints about clothing. We should just increase the amount stored in some of these shops that are farther away from the distribution center. Alternatively, we could also add a second branch dealing with that on this end of town. Not sure if we could make it fit with the current setup, but I will try to look into the feasibility of the idea. Anyways, that's pretty much it for today. As for the next episode, we have a couple things we need to take care of. One of those is the vehicles for Kirkomov, our current construction hub. Now that we have access to the KAMAZ models, we should start finalizing our construction fleet. Then there's the question of the highway. We have both lanes upgraded to gravel, so we might as well start working on one side, and pave it over with asphalt. It will take a while, but once done, it should be a big boost to the rate of construction in the new hub. Anyways, thank you for watching. If you liked the video, then leaving a like and subscribing to the channel just might motivate me to make more. If you are more in the donating mood, you can find a link to my Ko-fi page in the description, where you can buy me a glass of water. I don't really drink coffee. Thank you for your support, and until next time, I will see you later.